Will be the last video for this year, being 2014, moving into next year of 2015, or maybe I'll come on a week prior to the New Year's, which I guess I plan on doing. Now, the update from last video, not much happening on my side. Been debating about if, well, long story short, those that have been following me know that at the end of 2012, I stopped trading December 31st, 2012, and at the beginning of this year, I had trading was like furthest from um, my mind at that point in time. Now, along those lines, I've always believed in other things, like long-term trading or accumulation of metals. And by the way, silver has been an excellent. Well, I've been buying all the way down. So silver over gold. Silver can be used. Now, gold can be used in space. And I think gold will, these two metals will consistently have value because as we progress with NASA, as we progress with the space program, these are metals that there's really no replacement. Gold is a very good conductor in space, so it'll continue to be used. If you believe in all the conspiracy theories like Nibiru and all this other stuff that comes out, then they actually mine gold thousands of years ago to protect their particular environment and whatnot. Now, obviously, I don't have any earthly idea if that's true or not, but I would believe that before I would believe that we evolved from an ape. So, evolution, no. A greater being created us, yes, I would agree to that. So, whether that being is in Nibiru or God, I believe that the God of the Bible is true. Now, is he the Old Testament Bible? Is it the New Testament? It's kind of like my wife and I were joking the other day. We were thinking about Ricky Bobby and Talladega Nights. If you ever seen that, that's kind of my favorite Jesus as well. I like a little baby Jesus. So yeah. Long story short, I just read. Those that don't know, I have a minor in Bible. I picked that up at my time at David Lipscomb University. It was David Lipscomb College at the time, but I ended up getting a minor in Bible. I was debating about being a preacher at that point in time. I didn't go that way, and I finished up at Duquesne University here in the city of Pittsburgh, and then I went into trading, and the rest of the story is the way it is. But on the other side of that, I get to be a Bible teacher or a Bible school teacher, and we've had our largest class that we've had. We're teach the middle school ages. Right now, we are actually teaching 5th through 8th, and it's a really cool age to be teaching because you're not dealing with toddlers. You're not dealing with kids that don't know something. We're actually dealing with a very smart Bible-oriented class right now, and it's really cool. In fact, I gave them some homework over the last Sunday that we were there. We teach December, January, and February, the winter quarter, because my wife and I actually work together in this because the other quarters we have baseball and football, which take up a lot of our commitment. But in the winter, although our kids play basketball, it's in a non-competitive type environment, and so it's actually quite relieving in that sense, and it's actually takes a step back. And I enjoy this time of the year as far as I'm not into buying for December. I'm not into all this baloney about the materialism of what Christmas has turned into. I believe that the real reason for the season, celebrating Jesus. Now, obviously, we know that most likely he wasn't born on December 25th. It's actually a pagan holiday that we are use December 25th to celebrate that and for presents, right? And anyway, so anyway, I gave them a homework assignment and I told them, let's look at Luke 2 versus Matthew 2. By the way, the 4 Gospels that are named, only 2 of the versions of the 4 actually talk about the birth of Jesus, and that's Matthew and Luke. Now, Matthew, the book of Matthew, historically, I think Matthew, and I don't believe any of these guys wrote the work, but they had scribes that transcribed it and wrote it down. But Matthew his profession was a tax collector, And if you look at Luke, supposedly, historically, he was a physician or a doctor. And when you read the two versions, you can definitely see the physician part of Luke, and you read Luke 2, and you can see the kind of like the creative side of Matthew when you read Matthew 2. You know, what I showed them is what the two versions didn't have in common. So, you know, one version is very specific. It goes into his birth, and then 8 days later he's circumcised, and then the rite of purification that Mary has to go through. And by the way, in Leviticus 12, if you read that, there's actually it's laid out for you exactly what Mary had to go to be cleansed and be clean again, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And the process talks about the birth of the boy. 8 days later is actually when Joseph actually names for the very first time. Now, he might have called him Jesus before that, but officially on the 8th day, Joseph named Jesus on the 8th day. He actually officially named him Jesus on the 8th day when he was circumcised. So that must be a rite of Jewish passage, I'm assuming, in Hebrew. And then after that, 33 days must pass by if you read Leviticus 12. So roughly 41 days later, Joseph and Mary with baby Jesus make a trek, which is a 5.5 miles trek from Bethlehem to Jerusalem. And then they meet Simeon and also the lady that's there in Luke's account. And then if you read Matthew, nowhere in Luke does Matthew, nowhere in Luke, nowhere in, well, anyway, long story short, the Magi or the wise men, by the way, were there three? We don't know. Were there more than three? Were they present? You know, so in one side of the story, we have Herod with the escape to Egypt and then coming to Galilee. And Luke, we have them going there and completing everything and then going to Galilee, into the city of Nazareth. And what I gave my children was, what was the truth? Which one of these two stories happened? Was the story in Matthew, was that just fabrication? Was it just was it make-believe, fairy tale? Is the Luke account more factual, or is it a combination of the two? And I wanted to get into that with them next week, and then through the rest of this time as we lead up to the birth of Jesus. And it's really cool. Usually the first 4 weeks we deal with Jesus, and then the next January and February we stick to the curriculum of 21st century Christian that we receive. Now we always stick to the curriculum. I'm going to correct myself, but I'll diverge a little bit more at this time of the year, because I think having the facts and knowing the facts and understanding exactly what's happening there is kind of neat. So long story short, my last part of this video, I want to make this no more than 10 minutes. I want to talk about copper. I want to talk about silver. I want to just talk about copper right now. My advice for the 2 cents that it's worth is that you need to be looking at every penny that you get. Now, you know, it's that old saying, find a penny, pick it up, all day long you have good luck. Well, that relates and is true as you look at the penny. If you look at the penny now, it's made up of what I believe 97 something percent zinc. And then anyway, and if you actually weigh the penny, if you actually take your time, and this is just one of the things that I use to weigh different things that I've got. Like, this one isn't as accurate as the one that I use if I go to an estate sale, because I go to 0.00 on the estate sale side of it. But by the way, that's a really good way to sometimes pick up gold and silver really fairly cheaply. You know, I don't get to spend a lot of time doing it, but as my kids get older, we've been able to spend a little bit more time doing things of that nature, and it's another good time of the year. Anyway, so the copper is roughly, you know, you'll see that the copper penny will weigh 3 grams roughly, or and then you'll see that the new penny will weigh 2.5 grams roughly. So you can see that not only have they changed the metal in the penny itself, but the brand new shiny penny weighs less. And I guess if you got to carry a bunch of pennies around, that's a great thing. You got, you know, you're not weighted down as much. But if you look at the value of that penny versus the copper that's in the penny itself, and copper can be used. Now it's illegal to melt copper in the United States, by the way. So you can't. It's illegal to melt the penny, although you can melt silver. So go figure. Why is that? Why can you melt the silver coins, but you can't melt the U.S. penny? I have no clue, but you're not allowed. It's illegal to melt the penny, but the penny is actually worth more, just the penny itself, than the copper value if you go to some of the websites that are out there. So roughly a good way to make roughly 2 cents. So recently I looked at, if for every $10, let's just leave it at this because I want to wrap up. For every $10 of pennies that you have that are copper, meaning that they're from 1982 or lower, you'll find, now 1982 came out with 4 different pennies, and one of those versions is copper. But on the safe side, if you think about 1981 and lower, you're safe on that side. So if you get 1981 and older penny, and what's kind of cool is that you have the Jefferson Memorial penny, and then you have the wheat penny, and then you have obviously the Indian cent penny, and every one of these pennies is worth more than to actually. So here's my word of advice: anytime you sit there and you get a penny, don't, we sometimes make exact change. I don't do that anymore. I want the pennies, and I want to see. It's kind of like a game for me. I mean, do I get a copper penny? Do I get a real shiny penny? And every time, like today, I got a 1965 penny, and I had a brand new penny. The brand new penny will go back into circulation, but I'm going to keep that 1965 penny because it's worth more. Not only is it worth more, for every $10 right now, that numismatic value of the copper pennies right now is almost $20. It's 1965 last time I checked. So every $10 is worth $19.65. So you can figure that out. That's almost double your money just hoarding pennies. So God bless. Take care. Happy New Year if I don't see you. Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye now.